Hello, Adele Bates here, Behaviour and Education Specialist, keynote speaker and author of Miss I Don't Give a Shit, Engaging with Challenging Behaviour in Schools. This vlog today is about triggers. Now this is something that I train on, I support schools with around triggers and trauma a lot, especially when it comes to behaviour in our classrooms and in our schools, and in particular children with behavioural needs or SEMH, social, emotional, mental health issues. And I was reminded last week twice of this work, and I thought, okay, I want to jump on and do a quick vlog so that we can share this information. The first reason was because I ran a workshop for the Isle of Man Department of Education around this very topic, traumas and triggers. And what was interesting there is that as well as looking about what trauma is and what triggers are within the context of our children, we also touched upon what it is for us. And this is really what I want to look at today. And then later on in the week, last week, I listened to a piece by my business coach, Susie Ashworth, and she was talking about triggers in the workplace context and within your own work and life, and what you can do about it when you're triggered. And it really reminded me of a chapter in my book, Don't Take It Personally, which you'll recognise sometimes when it comes to behaviour. So this vlog is a small summarisation of this topic, because when a teacher or leader or educator is being triggered themselves, it's really hard to regulate and manage the behaviour of the young people who we are responsible for. So just for now, I mean, as I said, I did a 3-hour workshop on this, so we could go into it in much more detail. But for now, let's say that a trigger is a moment in which there's an emotional response that means that it's hard for you to concentrate on what's actually happening in reality. And the thing is with triggers is that they're all different for all of us, and sometimes we can be triggered because of something external, something internal, some kind of memory, some kind of flashback, and it's most often of a negative experience. So I want to give you a really useful example here. There was a young person that I was teaching. She was year 9, and we just didn't get on. We just didn't get on, and it was about 7 or 8, I think, weeks into me teaching her class, and we just kept getting to loggerheads every single time, and I was thinking, now you'll know which student triggers you, because they're the ones that you find really hard to be around, or the ones that you kind of think, you kind of dread being around. And she was one of those for me. And I was about to teach her for 2 years, so I thought, well, it's not like I can just kind of grin and bear it for 2 years. So I went and spoke to a colleague, and I said, look, I don't know what it is about this particular pupil, but there's something about her. I just find her really hard to be around. I find her really hard to motivate. I find her really hard to engage in the learning. What can I do? What can I do? And as we discussed it, I realised that this young person reminded me of a girl who'd bullied me in year 9. And I realised as soon as I saw it, I almost want to say that girl's name, but I won't, just in case she's out there. I mean, I have no idea what she's doing with her life. She's probably a lovely person now. What it meant was every time I was with this pupil, I was thinking of the girl who bullied me in year 9. And so what was happening was inside me, instead of being adult, professional, teacher, Adele, safe space, engaging young people in learning, inside me was year 9 Adele. And year 9 Adele was a bit scared and upset and frustrated and confused and not sure what to do about the situation. And what was happening is that some of that was coming out in my relationship with this pupil. Of course, unbeknownst to her. Okay, so I'm not saying that she needed to know that at all, and I didn't tell her that, but realising that I had been personally triggered myself into a bad memory enabled me to re-look at this young person's behaviour and realise that a lot of the way that she was behaving was resting upon the other person in this relationship that was me. And so, what did I do? My coach, as I said, Susie Ashworth, she talked about this last week and she explained it so well. I might even link to her podcast on this, the triggers in the workplace piece she did. But she talked about how when we're in discussion with people, if we feel ourselves getting triggered, that sometimes, often, the best thing we can do is press pause and say, you know what? I need to come back to this later. And I believe this is very, very similar with our pupils. If I have a pupil who is reminding me of somebody who used to bully me, and my internal emotions, my biological system, my nervous system is reacting and becoming dysregulated because of that, I am not going to be in a great space to teach this young person. And of course we've got to get practical because I've got a 6-period day and there's 34 in the class and she's one of them, and it's not like I can go, oh, just pause and let's just put her over there, of course. And so what I did instead is as I said, I went away and had this conversation with this colleague, and once I'd realised that I had been triggered and that was at least contributing to the fact that we were struggling to get on in our classroom, then I was able to see the situation in a completely different way. I took the pupil aside and I was very appropriately honest with her. I said, look, I don't think we're getting on. And I said, I actually don't need you to like me as your teacher. That's not my job. However, I do need you to engage in the learning. And I can see that you're actually very good at my topic and my subject, because her argumentative skills are brilliant, which are great in English. So we came to a truce and I said, well, how about we agree that we're both here for the learning, for your learning. Is there anything that I can do to help you with that? And guess what she said? Miss, I just don't like it when you nag at me. Ow. But fair, actually. I'd already come to a similar conclusion myself, that behaviour that was being triggered in me was making me a little bit like, yeah, at her. I'd already found that for myself. So, ow, but useful. And I said, okay, I'll take responsibility for that. I'm going to try my best to only ask you things once, for example. I said, and you know what the other side of the bargain will be? And she was like, yeah, I'm going to have to do it first time. I was like, yeah. We ended up having a very productive and successful working relationship for those 2 years. That young person went on to do very well in her GCSE exam. And that comes back to me recognising that I had been personally triggered, and I had to do some work on that behind the scenes, nothing to do with the pupil. I had to step away before I was then able to go back and be the best possible teacher I could be for this young person. As I said, there is a lot in this topic. The scenario that I chose today was obviously quite a bit of a lighter one, and I do realise that for some colleagues and pupils that there may be a lot of intense trauma that might come up around this, and for that reason I'd love to invite you to work with me further on this and to invite me in for one of these workshops where we can go into this much more, also into looking how triggers might present in different ways for different pupils. You can grab me over at adelbateseducation.co.uk and do let me know how you get on with this. Thank you very much.